Welcome to the 5-Star Retirement Show with Patrick Mueller, best-selling co-author of Dare to Succeed and president of Bella Advisors. Today, he'll be sharing his 5-star retirement formula, including lifetime income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. Here's Chris Monroe and Patrick Mueller.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of 5-Star Retirement, brought to you by Bella Advisors. I'm Chris Monroe, your host, alongside the man who is the man of Bella Advisors, with all the looks, all the brawn, all the brain, Patrick Mueller, joining us once again. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm great. What an intro.
Right? Well, you know, you've got to make sure that that we are telling everybody that you are the guy, because you are.
I don't know. You're looking like the guy, man. You just keep getting handsomer and handsomer every time we get together. What's going on over here?
You know, I don't know. We'll have to talk about the secret in coming up in segment 5.
There you go.
How about that? All right. So we'll make sure that happens. So obviously, one of the things that we talk about, and I want to start out, Patrick, with just briefly talking about the 5 stars. And I love that approach. And I love, when we think about retirement, we think about put money in the bank. And then we take money out of the, and when we retire. But it's so much more than that.
So much more.
Yeah. So let's talk about each of the stars that you walk your clients through.
So how we came up with the 5-star retirement plan. And I like to try to take the complex things and make them as simple as you possibly can. But there are 5 areas to retirement planning that people have to pay attention to. So you got income planning, which is when you're retiring. How do you replace your paycheck? Because you're going to be unemployed for the next 25, 30 plus years. So how do you create that income that you need to have coming in? And then that ties into your investments. How are the investments designed to help you accomplish that? And how much risk are you currently taking? How much are you paying in fees? And how are those things helping you accomplish that income plan? And then you've got tax planning, where that's a big thing in retirement, because there's a lot of different rules that kind of come into play with Social Security and how you're taxed on it. And
well, you don't have to pay taxes once you're retired, do you? That all goes away, right?
Oh, yeah. I wish.
if only, yeah.
Yeah, it gets, the government, they really get sneakier and sneakier when it comes to all the things that they've been doing over the years, and all the accounts people have been contributing to, like IRAs and your 401ks and all those taxable accounts, and how that's going to affect your Social Security and how it's going to be taxed. And then we have healthcare planning we got to talk about. So when it comes to health, whether it be health insurance before you're 65 or once you're 65, Medicare and the things that those pick up on, the big things that come down the road that people got to be prepared for is home health care, assisted living, nursing home care. It's crazy how expensive
that
stuff is. And nobody thinks that they're ever going to need it, but it's over 70% of people that will need it.
Wow.
And then you got legacy planning, making sure your estate's set up, making sure your stuff's going to get from point A to point B the way that you want it to. So we got to have a star for each one of those different areas to make sure that you're always going to be good. Because if you don't have a star for any one of those different areas, it could cause your retirement not to go the way you want it to.
And that last star legacy, I mean, let's say you want to leave your entire portfolio to your cat Fluffy.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that that's done right.
You want to make Fluffy's taken care of. Yeah. You don't want Fluffy out on the streets.
Don't you hate when people do that? You're like, and $13 million goes to my cat. It's like, yeah, that's great. So anyway, segueing right into really what we're talking about today in this first segment of 5-Star Retirement, and that is safety. Of course, we all remember the song back in the 80s, Men Without Hats, the safety dance.
Oh, man, I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember that song?
The safety dance?
You don't remember the safety? See, even the production team knows it, and they're young, and they remember the safety dance. I mean, yeah.
How does it go?
The safety dance.
Yeah.
You can dance if you want to.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Men Without Hats.
I got it. Yeah, all right. I've definitely heard that song.
So that's what we're talking about today is safety. And the closer you get to retirement, we want to make sure that things are in safer investments, where if the market decides to completely implode over the next month and lose 2,000 points or whatever, that your 50% of your retirement is not going to go down the drain. So, one of the things that a lot of people aren't looking at is if they're creeping up on retirement and they still have a lot of things in their 401k, and they're still probably in very aggressive mutual fund type investments and that kind of thing that are very volatile. So talk a little bit about how people can make sure that they're using oftentimes those limited resources in the 401k if they're still using it.
Sure. Yeah. We don't want that 401k to become a 201k.
That's right.
And it's more, much more important when you're, within about 5 years or so away from retiring and in retirement to protect yourself from downside losses than it is trying to get the full growth of the market. So here we are over 10 years into the longest bull run in stock market history. It's hard to believe we're over a decade since the last big downturn in 2008.
And it's hard to believe that's been 10 years.
But yeah,
wow.
But that happened to a lot of folks back then where their 401ks did turn into 201ks. So there was a lot of people that were on the edge of retiring that had to keep working a little bit longer. You had people that were early on in their retirement and they had to change their retirement lifestyle because they were too aggressive. And you just got to realize that it's more about getting consistent returns at this point and protecting from downside losses. Way more important.
And we'd say probably starting, 5 years before retirement? I guess you really need to start looking at that transition and figuring out, where these investments need to go. And I assume that's part of your overall planning with somebody that come in and they hand you a 401k statement and they show 80% of these assets in this ultra growth, like, whoa, let's probably move some assets out of that. Yeah,
for sure. Because if say the market drops 50% like it did back in 2008, so
right.
A lot of times people think, well, if I lose 50%, and the market comes back 50%, then I'm even. But that's not the case. So you actually need 100% return when the market goes down 50% just to get back to where you were. So and this is confusing to a lot of folks because
right.
let's say for an example, let's think about it a little bit differently. Let's take for an example that we're at the casino and we're sitting down at the blackjack table and you got $100,000 that you're working with, and then you proceed to lose 50% of it. Well, you're not working with 50% of that money anymore. The casino has the other 50% of the money.
Right.
So for us to get back from the 50,000 that we now have at the table to get back to the original 100,000 that we had, we got to go on a 100% run and we got to double our money now just to get back to even. And that's why it's so important to not lose, that severely when you're in the market and you want to protect yourself from stuff like that. So things that people can do to help with that is optimize their 401k and figure out how much risk are you really taking. So, and this is the type of analysis that we try to do for folks to show them, okay, with these investments, if we take it back through 2008, how much would what you currently own now, how much would you have lost if you would have gone through that same time?
It's a great point. And a lot of people probably don't think that. And especially people don't want to pull back any more conservative investments because, the market keeps going up and up and up and they keep seeing the returns.
Mm-hmm.
But 5 years out from retirement, shifting into those more conservative investments over time. And I think a lot of plans offer even some automatic things that will at least, offer some sort of protection for you that every year it'll reallocate your portfolio to a little bit more,
right.
Not that it takes away from you doing that, rebalance that, but making sure that, that you don't have all those eggs in that volatile basket.
And a lot of times, maybe the 401k company or an advisor that you're working with, they're basically, I would call them an accumulation specialist. It kind of helps you get to retirement. But a lot of times what they think is conservative and what you think is conservative can be two totally different things. So you got to understand what your number is. And if you want to know what your number is, then, this is the offer that we have for folks today is we'll do a free stress test and analysis for you. And this is really a $1,200 cost. And we do this for free for our radio listeners. And give us a call here and schedule a time to come in. We'll do an analysis on your portfolio. We do a Morningstar analysis, which will tell us how much risk you're taking. If we go through a big downturn like a 2008, how much downside do you really have in your portfolio? And is that something you'd be okay with right now if that happens? Because it's going to happen quickly when it happens. But you just got to take action. Give us a call, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. Schedule your time to come in for a visit. We'll do that for you free of charge. And again, you just got to call 770-545-8881.
And you'll kind of tell everybody, obviously, the things that they need to bring in with them, whether it's statements or
absolutely
that kind of thing, and make sure to come prepared.
Yeah,
because
it's super simple, but we tell them the stuff to bring in so they'll get the most out of it.
That's great.
And just it's all about understanding where you're at.
The other thing about safety too, Patrick, is keeping, we talk a lot about investments, but what about liquid cash? Keeping a lot of times people continue to put all of their money into the market, even close up to retirement. Probably not as smart a thing to do money that you need to get your hands on right away.
So it's a good rule of thumb to have about 6 months worth of expenses is, in that emergency account.
Right.
I call this SWAN money, which is an acronym for sleeping well at night. There's a certain amount of money that you just like knowing is down at the bank that
Amen.
helps you sleep at night. And really, that's how much you should have there, so you can, sleep.
Yeah,
right? And not have that anxiety. But then everything over and above that, and it's okay if it's not earning a ton of interest. But right now you can get, like a 2% interest rate on checking and savings these days. Which is kind of crazy. I mean, better than, I'm not sure how it's working this way, but it's better than what it is on a 5-year CD right now that you
like
can get on just a regular. Yeah, exactly,
right.
Which is like nothing. But you got like, Citibank and different places like that are offering like 2% right now, which is pretty good for your emergency money. But then everything over and above that, you got to put it to work. It's what I call unemployed money. It's not working for you, and it's not even keeping up with inflation.
But
so you're
there's
actually
ways
losing money.
to take that money and make it safe, even if it needs to be liquid.
Definitely.
Okay, so and a lot of people wouldn't know that.
This is one of the you're 100% correct, because there are, and this is probably the most a lot of things that you don't hear about a whole lot is the safety aspect of things. You have Wall Street that's always constantly promoting all the reasons on why you should have your money in the markets, and we work with folks with their money in the markets too. But then what people don't realize is that there are a lot of safe places that you can put your money, what I call principal protected accounts, where you cannot lose money, but we can still have it to the tide to the growth of the stock market.
That's great stuff.
Without being at risk to losing your money.
Patrick, let's tell folks one more time before we hit the break how they can get in touch with you, how they can schedule that appointment, that $1,200 value for nothing for them to get in and talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to our website and you can check out what we have going on for our events and sign up for an event, or just give us a call and schedule a time if you're ready to come in for a visit and have us do this analysis for you. And again, just give us a call here at 770-545-8881, 770-545-8881, and schedule a time to come in for a visit, and we'll do that free stress test and analysis for you so you'll understand how much risk you really got in your portfolio right now, and then how you should readjust that to protect yourself moving forward.
Hey, if you're watching this video, make sure you're liking and you're sharing and you're passing this along to your friends and your family who need this information for sure. Stay with us. A lot more to come here on 5-Star Retirement. And welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. Chris Monroe, Patrick Mueller of Bella Advisors. Into segment 2 we go. We talked about safety in the last segment, and Patrick, this time we're going to talk about change. And, we often say change is hard, but things change all the time. And retirement has changed a lot since our parents and our grandparents retired. My grandfather worked for Lockheed for years, and when he retired, he got the gold watch and the pension plan and the nice party, and then he went home and, played bridge or shuffleboard or worked in his shop downstairs and built grandfather clocks, which might be, there still may be people that do that, but generally speaking, it's a lot different today.
It definitely is, because the pensions are kind of a thing of the past, and I don't even know if I've ever heard of somebody recently getting any kind of gold watch. I don't think I've ever run anybody that made grandfather clocks. Did you get one of these grandfather clocks?
I actually have not one, but 2 of my grandfather's grandfather clocks.
Oh, that's awesome.
I do.
That's awesome.
I do. And they both work. It's amazing. So, yeah, right? Isn't that cool? He actually did that. He was an electrical engineer and did woodworking, but he was able to, because he set up my grandmother to get their $14,000 mortgage paid off quickly. This was in the 60s. It's like, so he wanted to get the house paid off quickly, and he knew that if anything happened to him, that she was taken care of. And that's exactly how it happened, and that was a good thing to do. So let's go down these 10 things here of things that are different. And what we were just talking about, this is not your father's retirement. The days of the 40-year career with Lockheed, and then you get your gold watch are gone. So, the first truth of retirement is that we are responsible for our own finances. The pension plan just isn't there for most people.
It isn't. And this is why, the sooner that you can work with some kind of financial ally, I mean, that's what we're here for, is to help folks kind of walk and navigate this, because the first time that we do something is typically not the best time that we do it. And how many times are you going to go through retirement? So that's why you got to own your own stuff. You can't be the ostrich. You can't be sticking your head in the ground and kind of hoping that things go away, or things you hope that they work out. I always say that hope is not a strategy.
Hope is not a strategy. That is probably one of my favorite sayings. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you will live longer than your parents, very likely. The average life expectancy for a 65-year-old is 19 additional years. So that means if you retire at 65, almost 2 decades of income and that you need to replace, and many of us will live longer than that. So we have to take that into account today.
For sure. And I want to say that I had a client come in the other day, and their mother is, grandmother is 112 years old.
What?
112.
That's crazy.
112, and still has all of her cognitive function and still living her day-to-day life. And she's, that's the way you want to do it, right? If you're going to live a long time, you want to have all your wits about you and be able to do all the stuff you want to do.
And she smoked parliaments and ate bacon every day too. She'll tell you that. I know.
Yeah. Be like, I want to be like George Burns, right?
Right.
Yeah. Drink scotch and smoke cigars. Live till late 90s.
So it's something that we have to think about, obviously, is the longevity. Number 3 is that Medicare does not cover all of the health care cost. And boy, that may have been true years ago, but today, you've got the alphabet soup thing going on with A, B, C, D, and supplemental and all this. So that's part of the healthcare star that you talk about.
For sure. You want to make sure you got that in place. And what most people really need to have is a Medicare supplement when they retire. So you got to pay a little bit more for it monthly. But if you ever have any kind of medical issues, it really takes care of just about everything when it comes to your health care. Go to any doctor, any hospital, and it takes care of the majority of the costs. And then you have these Medicare Advantage plans where what's happening is the government is paying these insurance companies so much a year for them to administer all the claims, because it's cheaper for the private insurance companies to do it than the government is. So they give them this allowance each year, and then it's free to you, a lot of these plans, to take these things out. But what happens is every time you got to go in for any kind of service or test or anything, you've got to pay these copays, and they can be pretty big copays, and they add up and they add up and they add up. And a lot of times people end up having really big medical bills because they realize that they didn't have as much coverage as they really thought that they had. But the big costs that can really eat into people's savings in the state and puts people into a really rough place is when it comes to the things that Medicare doesn't cover, or is very limited on, when it comes to home health care, assisted living, nursing home care. And I said this earlier that 70% of people at some point in their lifetime are going to need that type of care.
That's pretty good odds that we will need that, whether it's for a year or whether it's for 10, you don't know.
Well, I mean, if you knew that if there were 10 houses on your block and you knew 7 of them were going to burn down, right? You'd probably be getting some kind of protection for a fire.
Probably up the insurance there on the old fire.
That's right.
Number 4 is, I guess maybe subjective, but it's the time to take care of yourself in retirement. And it says here, retirement is when all your bad habits of youth come home to roost. Is that really true?
Is this eating all the bacon and smoking the parliaments you were talking about?
I guess you
earlier?
don't have time during the during your working years to do all that. But yeah, obviously that's sage advice to, because you're going to live longer and because you don't want to eat up your nest egg and medical bills, to have a plan to take care of yourself. You still have to plan for the future is number 5. And I guess a lot of people get to retirement, or some people, and they think that's it. That's kind of like the end. But that future of what we talked about of living longer is 10, 20, 30 years. That's right. It's still a lot to plan for.
Yeah, that's right. People are living more than a third of their lifetime in retirement these days. So how do we plan for that? And that's so important. A lot of times, that is what people think. They get to retirement and that's it. And they're just going to kind of pull from savings, and a lot of times that's just not working.
Nope. Yeah. How do people get in touch with you, Patrick, at Bella Advisors to, come in and talk about these things?
Sure. So we're always doing events around the city, educating people, and you can sign up for one of our events by going to our website, bellaadvisors.com. But we have the offer for our radio listeners today that's over $1,200 value to do a stress test and analysis on your current portfolio and your current retirement plan to see what it's currently looking like now. And so we'll do this for you free of charge. You just got to give us a call and take the action on it. If you give us a call in the next 15 minutes, give us a call at 770-545-8881 and schedule a time to come in for a visit. And again, that's 770-545-8881.
Great stuff. And you're right here in Roswell, right here in Metro Atlanta.
Right here in Roswell. So we're easy to get to for just about everyone around the Metro Atlanta area.
Number 6 out of the 10 things that are very different today in the change of retirement that we're talking about and how things have changed. There's more to retirement than money. And this talks about having something to retire to. We talked about getting the gold watch, going home, putting your feet up and doing nothing. But, it's really about having something that energizes you and has a passion to have a reason to have that money, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And like your father, keeping himself busy, or grandfather with the grandfather clocks.
All right.
Yeah. Where there was just one gentleman that I met that he was actually on Oprah, that he made these pepper mills, these like awesome like pepper mills. And so that's what he did, and he had this huge waiting list of people just wanting his pepper mills.
That's cool.
But it gave him purpose, and I mean that's what he loved doing, and working with wood and things like that. And that's what people really got to get clear on, because the people that I see having the most problems in retirement, and you see them age pretty quickly too, is when they got nothing to do, and they're just kind of getting idle. And you have a really good phrase for that, and I'm trying to remember.
Wear out, don't rust out.
Yeah.
So it's better to wear out. You want to go to work, have that purpose every day.
That's right.
Even if you're not getting up and fighting 285 traffic, and God bless you for that. If you don't have, you're gonna, but you still have to have that purpose.
And that's why I try to get people really focused on, because money is just a tool.
Sure.
You can't take it with you.
Nope.
So it's just there to get what it is that you really want. Like, what is the real purpose behind that? What do you want to be doing? Who do you want to be spending your time with? And we kind of go through an exercise where we try to figure out what your perfect day is. What is
I love that.
What's a perfect day to you? Where are you going? Are you at the beach? Or are you golfing? Who are you with? Are you with family? What do you want it to look like? And maybe we have 2 or 3 of those different perfect type days, and it's about getting as many of those perfect days in as you possibly can.
Amen to that. And that's where the 5 stars are so important in retirement planning. Number 7, time is of the essence. The retirement paradox is we are more aware of time that is unlimited, that ultimately limited. Of course, as we get closer to retirement, people need to take the time to come in and see you, and we don't wait till the last minute and make all these terrible, problems, and taking Social Security too early and not doing your required minimum distributions and all of these things that can cha-ching you to death. And that's why that, time is of the essence to get in and see you. And what would you recommend, Patrick? 5 years before retirement? Is that about the...
Yeah, like 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So
even 10 years out.
Even 10 years out.
Okay.
For sure. Because I can't tell you, because there's so much things that you should be doing now if you're 10 years away from retirement that maybe you don't realize that you should be doing. And so, for an example, you're putting money into a 401k and you're not getting a match on it, then that's typically not the best place you should be putting it.
That's true.
So there's so many different things. And probably a few times a week, I'm always hearing, oh my God, Patrick, I wish we had met you, 10, 15 plus years ago.
Right.
Because we would have done things a whole lot differently. And so there's really no better time than now to put a proper plan together. And that's what we do, is we help folks with their retirement plans. We only work with people who are retired or in that home stretch of retirement.
Or going down toward that road.
Yep.
So quickly, 8, 9, and 10, forget about the mistakes you've made. No time for regret. Get in, see Patrick. Forget about all the other stuff. He's going to help you live that 5-star retirement. Talk to your loved ones about end-of-life decisions and don't leave them out of the loop. I'm sure you see that all the time, and that's part of that legacy planning that you talk about. And number 10 is you have to understand that, you're responsible for your own retirement. There is no retirement genie that's coming to save you, so you have to get in and see Patrick at Bella Advisors. How do they do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna change the name to Retirement Genie.
You like that?
I like that.
All right.
I like that.
I can see you with a little turban on your head there, and
I did dress up as the Aladdin Genie for Halloween a couple
Really?
years ago. It was just the best costume. Remind me to show it to you.
That's awesome. I want to see it.
But yeah, so if you want to take advantage of coming in and understanding where it is that you're currently at and doing a stress test and analysis on your current retirement plan and your portfolio, then we're going to do that for you free of charge. But you just got to take the action to give us a call, and we'll walk you through this process. It's super easy, super fun. But give us a call here at 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. Schedule your time to come in for a visit. We'll sit down, talk about what's important to you, get your questions answered, and make sure you got your 5-star retirement plan set up.
And don't you dare go anywhere. There's a whole bunch more 5-star retirement to come. Stay with us. Welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. I'm Chris Monroe, your host, alongside Patrick Mueller of Bella Advisors, helping you live the 5-star retirement. And we talk a lot, Patrick, about knowing what we don't know. And when it comes to this and just the shows that we've done and the time that I've had with you, I knew a little bit, enough to be dangerous, but you start talking about some of the things that can trip us up leading into retirement, planning for that, and then going into retirement, as you like to say, typically the first time we do something, not our best effort. How many times do we retire? So you need a coach to walk you through the steps, of making that day a reality and making sure that there's enough money there, that the health care is taken care of, that that the legacy planning is taken care of, and all of the other stars that we talk about as well. So let's talk about that today in segment 3 here. This is understanding how Social Security works and how you can maximize those payments. And obviously everybody wants to get the most back out of all the money that they've paid into the government all those years, all the withholdings and everything. So here's some things that you should be aware of that will help you get the most out of Social Security. Number one, 6.2% payroll tax. Most workers pay that of their earnings into Social Security, and most employers are required to match that amount. Self-employed workers contribute 12.4% of their income to Social Security. Now, I'm not sure how that's just a statement. I don't know how that helps us, but it's on my sheet.
Well, yeah, you're paying in. Well, let's just say, you're paying in, and your employer's contributing to that. But so even more reason to want to maximize it as much as possible, and making sure, there's so many different things to think about, but making sure that you're actually not going to be taxed on it later on is a big thing. So because you're paying it in now, right? You want to make sure that you're not taxed on it as income later on, which you can totally be taxed on that. And the government's pretty nasty on how they tax you on those Social Security benefits as well.
And especially they penalize you if you take them early. Obviously, you can take them as early as 62?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can take it as early as 62. You can delay it up until age 70. So everybody has their full retirement age, depending on when they were born, between the age of 66 and 67. So that's your full retirement age.
Okay.
So if you take it earlier than that, then each year you take it early, it's about an 8% decrease from that amount of money for that guaranteed lifetime income coming in from your Social Security. So you can take it as early as 62, but you can't make more than about $17,000 a year in income, or otherwise they penalize you on that.
That's one of the most confusing things, and I get that question a lot. Or I will talk to people that are nearing retirement, and they'll ask, I'm this age and I want to continue to work, and you can. And in some cases, you can continue to work and not pay taxes. And in some, you're going to, like you said, there's a threshold. And that's one of we talk about this segment of things that you don't know. And I'm sure you've had people come into your office with their head down like this going, Patrick, I made some bad mistakes.
For sure. And sometimes we can correct them, and sometimes we can't. And that's why it's so important to be talking with somebody that can help you through that process, because a lot of times people think, well, hey, I'll take it at 62 and I'll continue to work and I'll just save all that money each year and I'll put that away and for my retirement.
That didn't happen.
But that's not the case.
Yeah, it didn't happen. That's just that just becomes the slush fund there. That just becomes the fun money. And then without a plan, then the employment money goes away, and then they're left to live on that remaining Social Security money, which is less than they should have taken to begin with. So just a bad trap all the way around there. 35 years of earnings. So Social Security payments are calculated using the 35 years in which you earn the most.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to work 35 years to receive Social Security benefits?
I believe so.
Okay.
You have to have so many working years. You have to have so many working years. I'm not 100% certain if it's at 35 years, but they do take your best 35 working years. So a lot of times the later years can add more to your Social Security because hopefully you're making more when you're in your 50s and your 60s than you were when you were in your 20s.
Right. So they'll take that average generally, from your 30s or from your 40s to your 60s, I guess, or 30s to 60s, and then and average it out that way.
Yeah.
With that said, the average Social Security payment as of last year was $1,461. That's per month. The retired couples bring in an average of $2,448, so call it $2,500. Not a whole lot of money, to live on, just by itself.
For sure. And then, keeping up with inflation and everything else, you got to have some kind of other plan to take care of all those other additional expenses. And it's all about understanding what you want your lifestyle to look like when you're retired. A lot of times people think their expenses are going to go down when they retire, but when every day is a Saturday and you got all that free time, I mean, I don't know about you, but free time usually equals more money coming out of my pocket.
And I'm sure
that's what we typically see too.
Are you kidding me? And I'm, then you want to be the crazy grandparents that's going to spend all the money on the kids, right? Or the grandkids. They come over and, they get to you get to dote on them, and that's what you want to be able to do.
Doing that and taking the whole family on vacations.
Right,
And,
why
we,
not?
We see that a lot.
Big Christmas.
Yeah, you're retired now, so you want to put all that stuff together.
Yeah. So this is an interesting fact. There was and the cost of living adjustments have ranged from 0 in 2010, and I remember that because my dad had just started taking Social Security, to 14.3% in 1980. There was a 14.3. So it averages out, I would say, 1 to 2% a year cost of living increase, if that. Is what we've seen.
Yeah, over the last 10 years, it's like 1.6. I want to say it's been over the last 10 years. But here's what the government's doing is they have this thing called the Consumer Price Index. All the stuff, it sounds kind of boring, right, when you get into it. But this is how they calculate what they think the rate of inflation is. But what they've done is they've taken certain things out of that. So energy costs, they've subtracted out of that. Healthcare costs, they subtracted out of that. And consumables. And when you think about all those things, I mean, what else is left? But they're doing that so they don't have to give people a raise on their pensions and their Social Security benefits. But so what you think the real rate of inflation is not really what the real rate of inflation is.
Well, what I love about all these government studies and numbers and all those things is they're always revised 3 months later. We revised the CPI downward, and it's like how could you be so wrong the first time around? So that's just my government rant, not necessarily the opinion of Bella Advisors.
we could have a news segment, just government rants.
Exactly.
Air it all out, Chris.
So the baby boomer full retirement age is 66, and we were actually talking off air about how many boomers are starting to retire, and you said how many is it a day?
12,000 a day.
A day. So
Yep.
their full retirement age is 66 if you're born between 43 and 54. And then full retirement age increases to 67 for people that are born in 1960 or later. So, then let's see, maximizing the monthly payments at age 70. And you said, what is it, an 8% increase every year that you delay?
Yeah, it's an 8% increase each year that you defer it. So you're getting an 8% increase on that guaranteed lifetime income the longer that you defer it. So sometimes it can make sense for people to do that up until age 70 and get the full amount that they possibly can, not just for you, but if you got a spouse, protecting the surviving spouse. Because if one of you predeceases the other, you don't get to keep both of the Social Securities. The surviving spouse keeps the higher of the two Social Securities. So a lot of times people aren't thinking about that when they're making the decisions on these things.
How do folks get in touch with you to avoid these pitfalls and traps of Social Security?
Yeah, if you want to understand Social Security and all the different options that you have and figuring out what the best strategy for you is going to be, because it can easily make a six-figure difference in income to you throughout your lifetime, and making sure your spouse is also taken care of if something happens to you. If you want to understand this stuff, we'll help you figure it out, and you just got to schedule a time to come in for a visit. Give us a call here at 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. Schedule your time to come in for a visit. It's a free visit. We don't charge anything for it. If there's stuff we can help you with from that point forward, that's great. But I don't want it to be an obstacle for you to understand where you're at and the best way to utilize this stuff. It's so important. But give us a call, 770-545-8881.
Fantastic. And a couple of more things before we hit the break here about things that we don't know that we should know. And one of those is the earnings limit that we talk about. And this is confusing for a lot of people. So $17,640 if you work and collect Social Security at the same time before your full retirement age. So let's say if you're working and then you're 62 and you want to go ahead and start taking Social Security, that then decreases that immediately to that amount, and then you pay taxes, everything above that.
That's right. So what happens is over that 17,000, they have a calculation on your Social Security on how they're going to reduce your benefits down, because they're penalizing you by taking it early. So they start reducing your benefits if you make too much income. So like I was saying earlier, a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to take my Social Security and I'm going to put that in the bank,
right.
But then they still keep making their $50,000, $100,000 plus, their salary, whatever it is they're making, and then they start being penalized on all those benefits early.
But once you reach full retirement age, whatever that is for you, depending on when you were born, you can work and earn as much as you want.
That's right.
Tax-free?
So you can do that. You can continue to work. What do you mean tax-free?
Well, I mean, but without any penalty to your Social Security.
That's right.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. So
tax-free. I mean,
you could make $100,000, $1 million a year. They don't care once you've reached that full retirement age, and so you could delay it up until age 70. and you're getting an 8% increase. I mean, where is it you can put your money out there where you're going to get a guaranteed 8% increase a year?
That's fantastic. And you still pay normal income tax rates, obviously, depending on your tax bracket.
That's right.
For that after that. But you get your full Social Security benefits.
You get your full Social Security benefits. Yeah, you still got to pay taxes on it. So, but that's stuff that you want to be talking to somebody about too is, how can you minimize the taxes on your Social Security benefits to stop it from being taxed?
Real quick, how do folks get a hold of you, Patrick?
Yeah, again, go to our website. We have events all over the city every single month. Go to our website, bellaadvisors.com. Check out our events and sign up for one of our educational events. And if you're ready to come in for a visit and for us to do a free stress test and analysis for you, we will do that for you free of charge. Give us a call. You got to take the action. Call us here, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. Schedule your time to come in for a visit or go to our website and come in to one of our educational events.
And a lot of those going on as well.
Yeah, we have it going on at Georgia State University, and then we always do them at pretty nice steakhouses as well. So come listen to us talk.
You
get
had
some
me
retirement
at steak.
101 information. Ruth Chris, Del Frisco's.
Oh, you had me at steak.
Capital Grill, yeah.
Question and answer.
Does it get better than that?
No, it doesn't get answers. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Question and answer segment is coming up. Make sure to stay with us here on 5-Star Retirement. And welcome back once again to 5-Star Retirement, your home of learning and education and living the 5-Star Retirement. Chris Monroe alongside Patrick Mueller, and this is one of our favorite segments. This is question and answer time. Always a lot of good questions that come in from folks. And make sure you subscribe, you like. Make sure that if you're watching us right now on a video, and that you share this, and if you're listening, make sure that you let a friend or family member know too where they can get 5-Star Retirement. And I know I learn a lot just sitting here hosting the show with you. So a lot of people need to know this information. So let's get to some questions from the listeners. We heard from Pete in Sandy Springs, and we appreciate the question, Pete. I have not yet retired. I am considering purchasing an immediate annuity using all the funds in my 403B plan upon retirement. Will the annuity distribution satisfy required minimum distributions, and how will placing the retirement amount in an annuity be taxed?
So that's actually a very, very good question. So when it comes to your 401k money, 403B money, 457 plans, it's all tax-deferred income. So whatever account that you put it into, every dollar you take out is going to be taxed as ordinary income, which can cause you to be taxed on a lot of different things. It can cause you to be taxed on your Social Security. It can cause other taxes on different things. Why it's so important to understand the tax ramifications that somebody's going to have when they're pulling from these different sources when they retire. How do all these different things come together when you're retiring? And when you put it into an immediate annuity, you got to realize you're giving up control of all that money. It's kind of like creating your own personal pension, but you're giving up control of your money. So say, for an example, he's got $500,000 sitting in his 401k or that 403B plan. He's giving all of that to an insurance company in exchange for a monthly cash flow for the rest of his life. And with where interest rates are right now, interest rates are at all-time lows, and these things are heavily influenced by interest rates. Probably not the best time to be putting your money into an immediate annuity. But so if somebody dies prematurely, then on a lot of these accounts, there's no survivorship benefit for anybody else. So if somebody dies prematurely, then that money goes to the insurance company. It doesn't go to the family. So there are ways to set it up where you can do that, to where they make sure it'll pay out to at least somebody for a period of time. But you're giving up control of that money. So you've got a lot of other options that are out there where you can kind of create your own personal pension or create that cash flow that you need when you're retiring, which is what he's really looking for. But it gives you still have total control over your money. You don't give up control of your money. So if you decide you want to change gears or do something different a few years down the road, you actually have the option to do that versus giving up control.
And I mean, that's a lot to do. Let's say you have $500,000 in what is now liquid assets, or mostly liquid assets, and you're putting it into something where you can't touch it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have no control over it, and so now you got this payment coming in, but then
which is great, but
is it going to grow with inflation?
And I've heard that annuities are one of those things that can be tricky. That there's a lot of people out there that are selling you not so nice stuff just for money and that kind of thing. So and again, the pitfalls and the red flags of that kind of stuff, especially if he's looking at a certain type of annuity. Right
for sure. And that's one of the things where people kind of lumped annuity together like it's all one thing.
Right.
But it's not all one thing. There are different types of annuities, and it's just kind of like anything. There's good stuff that's out there,
Sure.
and there's not good stuff that's out there, and that's why you've got to be working with somebody. What I like to say, a fiduciary, someone's got a legal responsibility to you to do what's in your best interest, and so they can look at everything that's out there and put the proper plan together for you for what it is that you actually need, not just somebody out there trying to sell a product and trying to get a commission off of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You want somebody that's in your corner, as the heart of a servant and not of a salesperson.
Yeah, because I come across a lot of these things where people will bring these things in, and for example, I had somebody came in and they have a variable annuity, which is the type of annuity I'm not the biggest fan of because there can be really high fees, and they were wondering why it wasn't growing for them, and they had about $600,000 sitting in this variable annuity, and I asked them how much are they paying in fees in this thing, and they said, well, because we have such a high account value, they normally have a $40 admin fee, but they waive it for us. And I said, okay, there's this game I like to play, Chris. It's called Let's Call the Insurance Company. So we put the insurance company on speakerphone so we could both ask them questions.
And
I just went
the
through
right questions to
That's
ask.
right. And if you don't know those questions, they're never going to answer it. And so it turns out that they were paying a minimum of 5% in fees. So
And
they were
fees?
and fees. They were paying $30,000 a year just to have the money sitting there. That's 1 year. Add that
Wow.
up over a 10-year period of time. It's crazy. And it's the same thing in mutual funds and things like that. But people don't realize that there's all these internal fees, and that's why you got to understand what you got and how this stuff is going to work for you. So a lot of times people have all these different investments and all these different places that they put their money, and it's kind of like a symphony. Have you ever been to, like, before you get to a symphony?
Everybody's warming up in a different key, and
That's right, doing their scales, and it just sounds, squawks all over the place. But then you have the conductor that gets up there and starts it off, and then everybody knows the role that they're playing. And
I love analogies. That's a good one.
And then it comes together like that. So that's really what it is that we do, is we help kind of bring all that different stuff together and make that all work in harmony. So that way you understand how to utilize everything.
Great question, Pete. Thank you for listening in Sandy Springs. Jamie, listening in and watching in Hickory Flat. My current advisor group only invests in stocks and ETFs. A new advisor group that I'm going with only invest in their own products. If I sell off my current advisor holdings, will I incur extra income tax and pay more income tax on the sell-off? I have 6 account types, 2 Roths, 1 traditional IRA, a SEP IRA, and 2 regular investment accounts. Boy, that's a complicated question.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of layers there going on.
Let's see. So the kind of easiest way to answer that is that all the Roth accounts, the IRA accounts, the SEP account, all those can be moved from one account to the other, to another company without taking any kind of paying any taxes.
And that's a direct rollover, right?
That's a direct.
Yep. You're not touching it. You're not seeing it. Just going from one institution to another.
Yep. Direct transfer. As far as the taxable accounts go, like the regular brokerage accounts, you could have gains in there. And if you sell those things off, then you might have to pay the gains on those accounts. So you would definitely want to understand the tax ramifications of that. But my advice would be that you want to be working with somebody that takes a very holistic approach to what they're doing, that they have the licenses where they can take care of the safety stuff. They have the licenses that can take care of the market stuff and can really do anything for you, and really putting a plan together for what it is that you actually need. Not just selling the proprietary product that they have to sell, like he was just talking about with the new company.
And I think a lot of times, again, and this just may be something that sounds great on the surface. Hey, we have these great products, and you should sell off all of this, but it may at least get a second opinion. I mean, that makes sense for somebody that is a fiduciary and is neutral. You don't have your own products to sell.
That's exactly right.
Right. I mean, you're just an advisor, and that's what I like about you, and that's where people really have to be careful in the in this realm, is that people are out to make a profit. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want it to make it on your hard-earned decades of money.
Well, exactly. I mean, everybody deserves, if they're providing some kind of service, they should be able to
absolutely
be able to make a living. I got no issues with that, but I do have issues where people are doing the wrong things for folks and just selling them something because that's all they have to sell, and you're not really doing the best thing for folks. And that's why we do what we do, and that's why we put our whole process together for the 5-star retirement plan, is so we're talking through all the things and actually have a plan in place for what it is that you actually need, not just trying to sell a particular product.
And I love that approach. I mean, that's just so different and refreshing. So Jessica in Smyrna has an IRA that is being willed to her. If I inherit it before the age of 59 and a half, can I have it sent directly to my own IRA? And if so, what are the tax implications?
Well, you don't want to do that. We need to really get one of those buzzers or some sound effects. And you're like, boop, boop,
No.
boop, boop. You don't want to do that, because if it changes ownership from whoever's name it's in now, and you change it into your account, then you're going to pay taxes on all of that money that year, and adding on to all your existing income. So
It's just like somebody gave you that as income, right? I mean, that's the way they treat it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like somebody's handing you a big piece of income.
Okay.
Right? So if you're making $100,000 a year and somebody gives you $500,000 worth of new income, and you take that all in that 1 year, well, that's going to throw you up into the highest tax bracket, and you're going to have close to half of it going to the government.
I bet you a bunch of people think that this is the best way to do it. I just want to will it to you and just transfer it over. And then all of a sudden they get that massive 1099 at the end of the year.
They get that tax bill.
Right.
Or you have kids that inherit the money, or somebody inherits the money and they go and spend it. They buy a house, they buy a new car.
That would never happen.
Inherit, and then they get this big tax bill at the end of the year. They get this 1099.
Right.
And they're like, what is going on here? And then they don't have the money to pay for the taxes. And yeah, it's a big mess. You got to make sure that the inherited account stays in that person's name, and it stays in the inherited account. And even if you're under 59 and a half, then the IRS has a table for you that, based on your current age at that time, they have a required minimum that you got to take out each year based on what your current age is, whether it's before 59 and a half or after 59.
The IRS and their tables, they love their stuff.
They do it. They got their plan figured out.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. A couple of minutes left before we wrap the show up, and we'll, of course, give you a lot of time to tell folks how to get in touch with you. One more question. Let's take it from Artie in Norcross. Says that my spouse and I are 70 and 67 years old, respectively, and retired. We have a fixed and variable annuity. Is this a good investment for monthly income? We sometimes need even more income for home maintenance and repairs and things like that.
Yeah, so that's a question I get a good bit. So it depends. I will say that I'll kind of put that caveat there, that it depends on what is the fixed amount that you're getting on the fixed annuity. And, what does that look like interest rate wise? Is that giving you enough income that you really need? So fixed annuities can be good for safety. It kind of works like a CD, where the money that you put into it, it's safe. You're going to get a fixed interest rate each year. And then at a certain point, you can move it somewhere else.
And because
that
it
depends. So that can be a good piece.
Right.
Variable annuities, it depends. Sometimes these things have income riders on them, where they'll give you some type of guaranteed income source. So those are things that we actually have to call the insurance company. So if you've got anybody who's listening, if you've got any kind of an annuity, you want to be giving us a call to do an analysis.
And how do folks we got a minute left here. How do folks get in touch with you and get in and get these questions answered?
Yeah. So I would say to Artie, give us a call, or if you've got any kind of an annuity, I would highly suggest giving us a call, scheduling a time either to come in or to do a conference call with us. We'll get your insurance company on the phone. We'll ask them the right questions that need to be asked on where you're currently at, how much you're paying in fees, and how this thing's going to work for you in the future or not work for you in the future. But you got to take action. We'll do this for you free of charge. Give us a call, 770-545-8881. We'll do this free annuity analysis for you. And again, 770-545-8881, and schedule your time for a phone call or schedule your time to come in for a visit.
Another great show, my friend, but we're out of time. Thank you so much as always. And we'll be back next time. Make sure to join us for another edition of 5 Star Retirement.